So the way we build websites has changed a lot in the past decade or so. We went from building with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript files being served over the internet to frameworks, libraries, and tools that compile and produce full stack web applications that you can use to deploy whatever your imagination sees fit, right? But along the way, with every framework, with every tool, there have been new attack surfaces that have emerged as part of this new landscape, right? And to basically give an idea what I'm trying to talk about, I need to start with this. This is Vercel. Vercel is a company that works on deploying platforms or deploying web applications, and they have created pieces of technology around this that make the whole process a lot easier. I personally used them before, and the developer experience is very nice, right? But we now have a couple of things happening when it comes to security that I've noticed over, like, let's say, the past few weeks, months, and I felt I wanted to talk about it and what I'm doing around that. So to understand the relation between Vercel and the topic I want to talk about, I need to go through and show you something. Next.js. Next.js is, well, it's a framework that allows developers to create full stack web applications in a very convenient and fast manner. It works really, really well, and it has fast become the number one solution for most web developers trying to make anything web related. And as you can see, this framework is as you can see, this framework is being used by a lot of big companies, right? Unity, Stripe, the Washington Post, right? And it has a lot of features for deploying across the world, and it has integrated tools to make the whole deployment a bit easier. But all of this, there's a specific feature of Next.js that I want to focus on. Next.js allows you to configure environment variables for your website, right? So these environment variables can contain anything, and they are scoped from server-side environment variables to browser-side environment variables, right? So if you go through the documentation, you can load environment variables from an env file. You set variables for like your database, host, user, and password, and it stays on the backend. It doesn't have to interact or go anywhere near the browser. All of this happens server side, and you can use any tool you want and like use any services you want. Just keep the keys and the secrets server side. You can then query and use APIs and the likes, right? But they also have a syntax for bundling environment variables for the browser. It starts with next public underscore. So with this now, there is a huge attack surface here. How many people incorrectly configure their environment variables and in the end show or like make available to the public environment variables that they never intended to go out, right? How many people are misconfiguring their infrastructure to show these environment variables publicly? That's why I created Insert Valradar. Valradar is a tool that you can use to search for any value you want on any website, and it goes through as many pages and resources as possible, trying to find what you sent it out to find, right? So the idea is to have a tool that automates the process of going through and looking for these variables or pieces of code on websites that would be too tedious to track down manually. So as part of the demo, I have a tiny example command you can run here. So this example command, if I run it here now, it will go through facebook.com, load up all the pages it can, and to try and look for the string meta. So let's let this run. Now it's done. And these are all the instances of meta found on the website. So now it's like, okay, sure, we found the string meta on Facebook's website. Of course, they're going to talk about themselves. Yeah, I get that. So this isn't a plug or anything, but I'm going to show you my personal website. So on my personal website, I've written a couple of articles, and this is from early last year, right? So it's a analysis about Asyncrat. It's pretty straightforward. I go in and I talk about it, right? And yeah, it's just something like that. So let's search for this string Asyncrat. I'm going to use a simple regex and run with the site being my personal website, and the pattern being Asyncrat, but with a few accommodations for lowercase on the E and R. So let's run this. So it's going to search through all the pages it can and look for any mention of Asyncrat. Cool. So it found 5 mentions of Asyncrat on the blog post itself, and that should be expected. There are 2 here, so there might be others within the code. And to show that example, I'm going to go to my search page on the website. Oh yeah, it's right here. So on the search page, as you can see, there is absolutely no data, no HTML mentioning Asyncrat. But if you view the page source and look for Asyncrat, you find it in the source code. So this is something that could also go through source code, not just HTML tags, but source code to find any piece of text within source code. Which brings me to actual real world examples. So I'm going to be blurring a lot of what I'm about to do because this little demo I'm going to do is just for showcase purposes. I am not asking you to go and actually try this on websites that you have no permission to try on. This is just for demo purposes. It is an open scan on code that is publicly available. So let's try that. Clear? And then I'm going to run this. So for this specific website, I have given a regex with the help of ChatGPT that searches for PostHog PostHog API keys. So if you don't know what PostHog is, it is an analytics platform. So with that API key, you could send client-side events to like the PostHog account. So I have to block all of this because it actually found PostHog keys available on this website. That's just one example. Let's run another example. On this website, we're going to now scan for next public environment variables, not just PostHog API keys. So let's see what that returns. Okay, so with all of this now, we can see a few public next environment variables. There are a few for, I don't know what discourse is, and then there's utterances and the discourse. I'm going to be blurring the source website just to keep this on the wraps. Once again, I'm not encouraging you to go and actively scan this on the website you have access to. But yeah, so this is how it works. It found all these public keys. And let's look for one more example, which I've prepared. If I'm not mistaken, this website also has keys. So let's scan this website as well. Now with the scan complete, you can also see a few more public environment variables. Once again, I'm not going to dig deeper into this because the idea isn't to go and actually get the keys. It is to show that these keys are available. So if you actually search strings that you get, matches that you get on the associated links, you can find the instance where these variables are referenced, and maybe with a few extra steps of reverse engineering, you can get the actual keys. But as I showed earlier, if you know the type of keys you're looking for beforehand, you could just search for the pattern that matches those API keys or environment variables or whatever. possibly a workflow could look like you search for environment variables, see what services are running on the system, or look for a piece of source code that show what's the type of service running on the system, and then using that information you can search for API keys or secrets that are relevant to that service that it's running. And the reason I am talking about all of this right now is because we need to have a discussion, right? New technologies have come. This is not the first new technology that's going to come, and it probably won't be the last. And from the dawn of time, people have been very, very susceptible to misconfigurations, right? So all the examples I've showed now are pretty much textbook examples of misconfigurations. Some of these things might not actually need to have environment variables browser side. So this, number one, is to help with the awareness for developers and companies implementing features like these, or like creating websites. They should be very cautious to not have any secrets or variables be client side on the browser. And secondly, this is to like make a showcase of the tool itself, VarRadar. This tool is now open. It's open source. I'll try and put the link to the tool down below. So if you want to have a discussion about it, you want to try it out, it's pretty early in its release cycle. I'm trying to like iron out a couple of bugs and see what works best for people before actually putting out a full release. So if you want to join in early and help me test it out, you can clone the repo, try a couple of things out. And if you want to reach out to me, I'll put my email on screen, maybe right now, and my socials as well. And I'll try and put them in the description as well. So yeah, this is basically what I wanted to showcase, VarRadar itself, and the vulnerabilities, or let's say the security lapses we have right now when it comes to all these newer technologies. So yeah, I guess that's it with the demo. I don't think I have anything to show off. Okay, so editor me here. I just wanted to come up and say a few more things to round up the video. I know it's already pretty long for what I'm trying to say, but let me get straight to the point, right? So the issue I'm trying to get at is to have this discussion, this initial discussion. This isn't some plug for myself or for the tool. Admittedly, I didn't present this well enough, but the idea is just to let's have a discussion around this topic. Like the browser is a fundamentally open technology stack. The browser sees all the source code for the website. So let's have this discussion. Where do you want to draw the line for API keys and whatnot, and for companies that are going around and like making these mistakes and like pushing products that have like sensitive API keys in public? Because I have found those. I tried reporting some of them. So it is possible to have this situation. So this is to have two things, basically the video. Let's discuss the issue at hand, number one. And number two, have a tool that we could use to like prevent the more egregious misconfigurations that happen. So yeah, back. Don't mind, I'm trying to reboot my channel. It's been a couple of years since I've posted videos on here. So if you want to keep up and see what other stuff I'm working on, because I'm working on a few stuff, like maybe I'll tease this, but I'm working on a malware payload thing that allows you to deploy any payload you want and pretty much escape the worst of Windows Defender. So yeah, we'll try and see how that goes, if I can put out a video on that. But I guess that's it. Thank you for watching. Hopefully see you another time.